Welcome to Fantasy Football Hub. Today I'm joined by FPLSalah to preview Game Week 31. We'll have a quick look back at the previous Game Week first of all, which saw the return of the inevitable Erling Haaland. Abdul, my friend, how are you doing?
I'm good, Jack. Thanks, man. How are you?
Yeah, not bad. Can't say I had as good a game week as you. A small green for you, a pretty sizable red for me, but I had no Haaland. You had Haaland. What happened there?
Yeah, I mean, I had an easy route to Haaland with going Tony. I had the money in the bank. I think with yourself, Jack, I think you could only have got him in with get rid of Kane, which I think you made the right move. It just was one of those where it was, I think, the correct decision, just not the correct outcome. But yeah, so luckily I got in Haaland, made him captain. He scored 2 goals in 69 minutes. That was, I mean, I had Kane and Watkins who kind of chipped in as well, but they were quite highly owned. So yeah, so nothing else much, to really talk about this game week in terms of like returns. Small green. I was hoping to get closer to the top 100k this season, but I did get there, but not as far as I hoped. So I went from like 144k to 141k. So pretty much like a grey arrow. But yeah, just really hoping to, as I said last week as well, I really just want to get to that top 100k now and kind of push on.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a strange game week because it's not often that you get someone in who scores the highest amount of points in your team, you captain him, and you just get a little green. But that is what Haaland does this season. And not the worst game week, but not the best. But we carry on.
Yeah.
Before we get into your plans, though, for the upcoming game week, first of all, a little message from Sorare, who have kindly sponsored today's video. Yes, the Premier League is now on Sorare, and Fantasy Football Hub have partnered with them for the rest of the season, and there are some Premier League tickets up for grabs. Sorare is the dawn of a new era for fantasy football. Gone are the days where you just have Fantasy Premier League. Now, Sorare is here to stay. In Sorare, you collect, buy, and sell cards and enter them into competitions to win amazing prizes. The Sorare Premier League draft game is completely free to enter, and that is the one that you want to get involved with, as we are giving the winner of that league free Premier League tickets to a game of their choice next season. But it's not just that. There are now also weekly rewards too, including limited card giveaways for those that get the highest score of the week. So get your free cards, pick your team, and compete now for free in our Fantasy Football Hub private league. The link is down below. Sign up via that exclusive link, and in addition to your standard free cards, you will get a free limited card to enter into competitions to try and win more amazing prizes and more amazing cards. Again, the mini league pin is also in the description. Best of luck. Okay then, Abdul, got your team up on screen on the My Team tool on Fantasy Football Hub. This is how it's looking right now. According to the tool, Kane is captain with a predicted points of 8.8 versus Haaland 7.7. Let's go to captaincy straight away.
Yeah.
Maybe that's an X-Men sort of thing because Haaland's playing tonight in the Champions League. Still got that injury. We'll be playing soon in the Champions League again after that. What are your thoughts on captaincy immediately? Yeah,
it's interesting that the hub tool goes for Kane because my captaincy on Haaland has been there since I set my bus team on Sunday. So yeah, for me it's Haaland without a doubt. Obviously we need to see what happens tonight, barring any injuries or anything like that. But it's Tuesday, and there's plenty of rest, for Haaland up until Saturday. So yeah, he's definitely my captain. I guess on the hub tool, he's probably predicting less minutes than Haaland for Kane, which is the reason for that. But I'm pretty confident in Haaland's minutes. I think even with 75 to 80 minutes, which I think he'll probably get around about that. Could even get 90. Even with 75 or 80, I would captain him over Kane with 90 minutes.
And Leicester right now, that could easily be one of those games where he does just play 60 minutes but scores a hat trick. Kind of perhaps similar to the last game, but this game even with greater fitness. But yeah, it's an interesting one. It must be the X minutes though, because we do know that Kane will play 90.
Yeah, and with Leicester as well, they've conceded the third most goals in the league, sitting second bottom. So yeah, it could be a bloodbath.
Okay, so apart from that, which you seem to have made a pretty simple decision on, there are quite a few other issues or decisions that you need to make in your team. Let's first of all talk about Rashford because he's the pressing one. We don't fully know about his injury, but what are your thoughts so far on him?
Yeah, so obviously we need to wait until we hear how long he's out for. But Just thinking about it now, if he's out for just a week, Jack, right? There's no point in getting rid of him. As you can see there in my team, I can just play Solly March, and then in my position, I'm free hitting in 32, which I guess a lot of people will be doing as well. So that's the next 2 weeks, and then he'll be back for game week 33. Obviously, if he's out for longer, then I think a move to Grealish is pretty inevitable. I know it's sounds boring because everybody's probably going to do it, but he is generally the best option. You get an extra fixture out of him, for the double in game week 34. The next two fixtures are great. He started the last 11 league games now, and
Wow.
yeah. So I mean, what we've noticed with Pep is that obviously we know he can bench any of his players at any time, probably barring Haaland or Ederson. We kind of know if they're fit they'll play, but any other players, they could get benched at any time. But what we've noticed as well with Riyad Mahrez earlier in the season is that when a player is playing well and when he's in his good books, Pep will just keep on starting them. And I think Grealish is in that zone at the moment. He's got 2 goals and 2 assists in the last 2. Since the World Cup, his stats have picked up, considerably. He's got the second best XGI amongst his teammates. Since World Cup, scored the most goals amongst midfielders in his team since World Cup. So it's only 7 million. So I mean, it's just such an easy pick. So I guess we'll just have to see how long Rashford is out for. So if he's out for short term, I think keep. If he's out for like 3 or 4 weeks or more, then we get rid.
So that's quite a conservative strategy there that you're thinking of. Do you think then if Rashford was fit, there would be no real competition between him and Grealish given his form this season? So you still think that in an ideal world, Rashford would be in your team over the likes of Grealish? It wouldn't be worth that transfer anyway.
100%. I mean, Rashford for me is a miles better option than Grealish. He's got the minutes, he's got a better goal threat, but just Grealish is a good option as well. And if Rashford is out, then he's the next best replacement. But if Rashford's fit, then he's going nowhere. Okay,
so I guess we're gonna have to wait and see on that one for news. What about you hear it's a short term, but it's like 2 to 3 weeks. It's gonna be coming in maybe quite close to that all important 34 double. Would that change your thinking a little bit if it's going to be slightly more long term, but you're not entirely sure? What I'm trying to say is, when you're not entirely sure when an amazing player like this, a fantasy player like this, is going to be back in the side, to what extent do you say, okay, we're going to wait and see, or I'm just going to go with what I know right now, which is Grealish's minutes?
Yeah, so it's a tough one. So if it's like in the middle, right? I mean,
yeah,
I guess what you've got to think is that if you get rid of Rashford, he's back, at game week 33 or 34, he's likely going to be a transfer back in because you're going to want him for his double against Aston Villa and Brighton. So yeah, it's one of those where it's like, it could be even one of those injuries where he says it's not too serious, but it kind of lingers on, and then there's a risk is that. And the thing is, Jack, we've only got 7-8 game weeks left. Not really got can't really afford to sleep on these players, and kind of hold on to players who are injury risks as well at the same time. So I think at this stage of the season, you have to be more aggressive than conservative. So obviously, if he's fit, or if he's just a doubt for the Forest game, which will kind of implicate that he'll be back for 33, then I think it's fine to stick with him. But anything more than that, then I think we probably have to just bite the bullet and deal with it when he's back fit.
Okay, then let's talk about another Man United player now who has a red flag, not a yellow one. What are your thoughts on Luke Shaw?
Again, I'm really hoping he's fit, Jack, because I got him in and for the easy run and for the double, and he's missed the last 2 games in which United have kept clean sheets, so really frustrating. But if he's fit, then brilliant. I play him again. I think with Shaw is that if he's injured, I think I'm just going to have to keep him until game week 34. I don't see many replacements, for him that that I like. And again, he's just going to be a transfer, that'll a player that'll want back in if he's fit, in game week 33, 34. So, and another reason is that with him, I can this week I can play Botman, right, instead of Shaw, which isn't the best fixture, but Newcastle, they conceded the least goals in the league. They're a solid defensive team, so I don't really mind that. It's not ideal, but I don't mind it. And I guess then we've got a game week 32 blank, and if he's out for game week 33, which is the game against Tottenham, then that's not the end of the world as
Yeah.
well. I guess I could just play who have we got playing. Yeah, again I can play Botman or even Estupian actually, who's got Nottingham Forest.
Yeah.
So it just makes sense to keep him, Jack. No really standout replacements, and I really just want him for this week. And then he can just stay there until game week 34.
That makes sense. I guess the difference between him and Rashford is that with Rashford, that's quite an important midfield slot, and you have someone in Grealish who has that upside. So that makes it a little bit more of a tough decision. Whereas Shaw,
Exactly.
you're very certain. I really had to stop myself saying Shaw there, but nonetheless, very certain that he's going to come back in at some point anyway.
Yeah.
And the upside isn't really there for anyone else, as you say. Botman's probably the pick that you maybe would go to anyway. Maybe a City defender, but who knows about that. Okay, then. So that makes sense. Let's talk now about Chelsea players, because quite a lack of clean sheets there. Let's speak about Chilwell first of all, and just your thoughts on him going forward, and whether you're wavering on him a little bit. Kepa too, to be fair. Neither of them playing particularly well. Chelsea playing very poorly. What are you thinking?
Yeah, I just think I think with Chelsea, it's a classic case of don't buy, don't sell. The thing is, I've got other fires to put out. I've got Rashford there, who has a potential injury, and I just think that the next two games, right? They've got obviously the blank in game week 32, but they've got Brighton and Brentford at home in the next two, which is I guess they're fine fixtures, but I just don't obviously trust Chelsea. But I think with a player like Chilwell, who's got attacking threat, it's probably worth keeping him. With Kepa, he's a goalkeeper, so I don't want to be wasting a transfer on a goalkeeper at this stage. When I've got so many other fires to put out, so just kind of reluctantly have to keep my Chelsea assets at the moment, and then kind of reassess in game week 33, 34, I guess, because they've also got obviously in game week 33 they've got Brentford and they've got Arsenal in 34, so I'll probably look to move them on then, for a double game week player. So for the time being, I just think I have to keep them. Obviously, if you haven't got Chelsea assets in, they're a total, easy avoid.
Okay, let's just finally talk about, in your team in particular, Brighton players. It makes sense to bench Estupiñán this week. I think most would probably agree on that. I mean, it's not the most important decision. But Brighton midfielders up against Chelsea, if you had to order them in preference of who you would start, if you were to have all three, it seems like a question that we ask every week, but they are so close together. And obviously you're a Matoma owner. Do you want to touch on the absolute travesty, the disgrace that was last game week for him in particular?
Yeah, it was a disaster. I know. I mean, he could have had a goal and an assist, but yeah, I won't dwell on that. We'll just I like to move on from these decisions, especially when it's a decision like VAR, like things that really shouldn't happen. It's fair enough. You're a player missing three easy chances. In football, but things like that shouldn't be happening. A stone one penalty, offside decisions when we've got video assistant replays and stuff. So yeah, it's not good. It's not a good look for the Premier League.
It's absolutely ridiculous. I mean, I had a bad game week, right? But I also benched McAllister and didn't have Matoma. So I've got to say to myself, what could have been? If that penalty is given, then I'm losing so many points there, and points on my bench with McAllister, the penalty taker, and he just had a goal that was just a goal. Yeah. But yes, as you say, let's not dwell. So give me an order then right now. If Rashford was fit, first of all, who are you starting out of March and Matoma?
If Rashford is, I'd go for Matoma again.
Okay.
I know March got the assist, but I just think with Matoma, he's got the better long term stats, and he is the more likely to score. So obviously, in FPL, goals get more points than assists. March has got the higher assist rate, so I would play Matoma again over March if Rashford is fit.
And then where does McAllister come in all of that?
I mean, if I had all three, like if I was to rate all three, I would probably put McAllister at the top, then Matoma, then March.
Really, McAllister top?
Yeah, because I mean, he's still playing in the in the advanced role, and he's still on penalties.
Yeah,
which is a big factor. And the thing is, there's not much to pick between the three. They're all pretty good options, and since game week 17, I've not actually tallied up the points. Actually, I'm going to do that. It's quite curious, but I think now they've all scored pretty similarly. since game week, not since game week 17, sorry, since game week 26, when we
Yeah.
wildcarded and had to pick the two.
Yeah.
So yeah, I just think there's not much to pick between them. So when it's close decisions like this, then things like who's on penalties, who's on set pieces, kind of comes into play.
Okay. So in terms of your transfers for this week,
Mm-hmm.
actually, no, I want to ask about the goalkeeper because we've talked about Chelsea a little bit. Any chance that you could start Raya ahead of Kepa if you're really not sure about Chelsea defensively? That's my last team lineup question.
Yeah, I might actually start. It's a good point. I've got Kepa starting at the moment, but I might actually just start Raya. Because I've not had to look at the clean sheet odds yet, which I will. Once I've done that, then I'll make a decision. But I've
Okay.
got a feeling Brentford won't be too far behind Chelsea in the clean sheet odds. So we'll see. But yeah, that's the
Yeah.
decision I've got to make, which I haven't done yet. So that's going to be an interesting one.
Obviously, it is a home v away fixture, and Raya got very unlucky with that own goal. But I mean, according to the My Team tool, both have predicted the same exact number of points. So
That's helpful.
there you go. That's your decision made for you exactly. All right, then let's get on to transfers. I think you've pretty much said what your transfers are going to be. Depends on Rashford news, right? If not, would you roll?
No, I mean the thing is,
okay.
because we're free hitting in 32, so I'd be wasting a transfer for old. So I'd be doing something. I mean, the thing is, I do think Rashford is out because Ten Hag did say that wasn't looking good, and it's for an injury. So I'm expecting to be out for at least a couple of weeks. So I am, in my head, I've got that Grealish transfer planned in. But if not, then I guess I'll need to look at something else. I might do, I could even do, Chilwell out, if I really wanted, but I don't think so. I could do, Botman out. I've not really looked that far into it because I've just been kind of focused on the Rashford injury, but I definitely won't be saving this week because of the.
Sorry, yeah, I completely forgot. Yeah.
Because of free hit in 32. So yeah, it doesn't make sense to save when we can't, carry over the transfer.
Absolutely. Okay, so apart from players that are pertinent to your team, transfers in the likes of Grealish, is there anyone else that's a fun pick, a differential perhaps, that you would look at just for this one game week in particular? Or maybe not, if people aren't on free hit, someone for the next few, or maybe to the end of the season that isn't in your team or the majority of teams, that's a fun little differential?
I guess if you're not on a free hit, then I mean, I guess you could. No, I mean, I was going to say West Ham players, right? But they've got Arsenal this week, but they have got Bournemouth in 32. I'm not entirely sure, to be honest, in terms of differentials, but I've just kind of been like in tunnel vision in my own team for game week 32.
I mean, to
So
be fair, there is a reason why the players that you've got are in your team as well. That those are the best players. So it is sometimes hard to find differentials. I'm just thinking if someone is really chasing rank and wants to just go crazy.
Yeah, I'm just having a look at the fixtures now. I think Villa options, right, will be if you've not got a free hit, then Villa options are good. Possibly a Mings if you've not got Watkins because they've got Newcastle and they've got Brentford in game week 32 and then Fulham in 33. So they've got good fixtures and no blank. Even like I mean, if you want to kind of chase rank with a good option, I think somebody like a Martinelli, because if you're not free hitting in game week 32, you're going to want Arsenal for Southampton at home, right?
Yeah.
So bringing in Martinelli now, West Ham away, I think Arsenal will win that game quite easily, and then they've got a great fixture in 32, and then you've got to think as well, people who are free hitting in 32 won't have Arsenal players because they know that they've got West Ham and they've got Man City and Chelsea, whereas they can just use the free hit for the easy Southampton game in 32. So somebody like Martinelli or an Arsenal midfielder could cop trumps because their ownership's getting lower and lower, as the weeks go on.
Very true. A lot of people could well be selling Arsenal players. Well, maybe not this week, but definitely next week if they're on if they're on free hit or whatever. They're seeing the run of City, Chelsea, whatever. So then, free hit 32. Just last question: is that definitely locked in?
Yeah, it's locked. I mean, there's no going back now. With the way my team's set up. So yeah, locked in, and then I should have around about 10 or 11 players, double game week players for game week 34. So I've kind of planned up to game week 34. So it's looking good in theory. Let's see how it pans out.
Is Mo Salah in those plans?
Oh yeah, for sure. Mo Salah, I mean, like, he could have had a monster haul against Arsenal. So, I'd say unlucky to miss a penalty, but, kind of his own fault for not even hitting the target. But I'm a bit worried about Mo Salah in terms of will he still be on penalties?
Yeah, that's an interesting one, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I think he will be, but I think there's definitely a chance that he's not. It's not like I'd give at least like a 30% chance that he's not on penalties. Fabinho's here who's good at them. Milner if he's on the pitch. So yeah, I mean that's a worry. But even without that, look, they've got Leeds next, Nottingham Forest, and then West Ham, and then a double against Tottenham and Fulham at home. So he's I've got him penciled in for game week 33 or 34, which involves taking the cane out. So we'll see what happens with him. But to be honest, with or without penalties, I think he'll be in my team.
That's true because we've seen that it's not. Klopp doesn't just go, "Oh, he's my goal scorer. He's going to be on penalties no matter what." Even when he was scoring penalties, Milner was still taking penalties when he was on the pitch, and now he's not scoring penalties. So who knows what might happen? Who knows?
Yeah, no, and as I said, the fact that both penalties that he missed hit the target. Klopp might be thinking, okay, let's kind of mix up. But yeah, we'll see. I think the only way we're going to find out is when Liverpool get the next penalty.
Indeed, one to look forward to. Okay, mate, that is going to do it for this one. Guys, really hope you enjoyed it. Again, remember to go down into the description and click on the link to Sorare. So many prizes up for grabs. Abdul, you interested in any of the Sorare prizes?
I don't know what are the prizes.
Oh, they're just amazing. Premier League tickets. Premier League tickets.
Oh,
if you win the draft mini league.
Count me in, man. Count me in.
There we go. You got to fight against Abdul to win those. Abdul, it's been a pleasure as always. Thanks, your team reveal will be up by the end of the game week. By the start of the game week.
Yeah.
Link to that is down below as well. And that's going to do it. Thank you for watching as always, guys. Good luck in the game week, and we will see you on the next one.